Hello,
Hello.
hello. We are live. Just a bit of a short intro. I think I actually played the outro for the intro there, but we won't talk about that.
We won't talk about that.
How
Hello,
is
everyone. Hello.
everybody?
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is our third one. We're going to discuss your missing bits. And I've already seen some of the comments and know it has nothing to do with transitioning or any of those laughing parts. We're
Oh,
basically looking at our life, how we got here, what we feel we need, what we feel is missing, and how we can perhaps pick up those bits that we find we would like to play with, if you'll pardon my pun, that we aren't, and maybe we used to when we were
mm,
small.
yes. And just let us know how the sound and everything is, guys, because we were having a few issues. And this is definitely a detransitioning video, but detransitioning from the system and who you
Yeah,
thought you were. So
detransitioning.
today is called You're Missing Bits. So we wanted to talk about what are the bits that you're missing. What maybe are the bits that you built up, maybe more for protection rather than for becoming more of you, and can they be peeled back again? Because this is the big sort of point we're trying to make is we all have these masks that we build up and these suits of armor or whatever, and we walk around pretending to be someone that we're not. And when we do that, we end up somewhere we don't want to be. So, what are your missing bits?
Yeah, like what we've worked with on our course, so I'll do a bit of a review for those of you that haven't taken it yet, is we looked at our parents in a way to start to decide what it is you have, what it is you're missing, what it is you would like, what it is you want more of, what it is you want less of. And one of the exercises, which might be a little hard to do right now, which we shared, was to look at your mother and father, if you do have one of each, so to speak, or if you had one of each, and to see, let's say, three good things and three bad things that you like and or dislike about them, and then to relate them back to you as to see what you picked up or what you might be missing or what you might want more of or less of.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, parents are just such a big part of who we become, aren't we? And we see this every, with all these sort of issues of parents, when people are older, right, they either didn't have one or their parents were so mean and horrible and all this kind of thing. But the truth is everyone has that. Everyone, like, everyone has issues with their parents. Some have more, some have less. Some people have no parents, some people,
Oh,
have good parents. But the thing is, it's how we, what's the lesson, I guess, is what it is if your, parents treat you a certain way and you're like, how dare they treat me so hard? Well, what's the lesson? Like, why was that happening? Because the way I see life is everything, I don't really believe in coincidence. So I think if you can look at that, like, what did I get out of that? My parents were so hard on me. They were so mean. Everyone else got to go out and play on the weekend, and I had to stay home and blah, blah, blah. Well, what did that turn you into? And what are those other kids doing now? Because we can often look at these things like, oh my God, it was so bad. But when you, with a bit of perspective and time, you can say, well, that turned me into someone who actually gets off their butt and does something. That turns me into someone who's relies on themselves. This is, oh, my parents were never home, they were always working. Well, I guess you learn to rely on yourself, right? I guess you learn to look after yourself and to be more, a big strong person. So there's always some gold in there, right? There's always some good in the bad. And so if we look for the lesson and how that can make us better, then we can move forward. But if we focus on the, oh my God, poor little me, then we're stuck and we stay that child every
yeah.
time we come into that situation again.
Yeah, I mean, and you can take it a little deeper, as I had to recently, and look at myself. When I was growing up, I wondered why my parents didn't have, let's say, lots of money or a successful business to pass along to me, or I didn't like my relatives, or I didn't like my neighborhood, like all these things that I really disliked. And then I realized as I'm getting older that, I'm generally, or at least when I was younger, a lazy man, right? I would have, if I had been offered a lot of money, I would have stayed. If I had been offered like a successful business from my parents, I probably would have taken it. If I had liked, my neighborhood or my relatives or my friends, I maybe would have stayed there, and then I would have been stuck. The same as I saw, my parents getting stuck in a life, getting older and getting, let's say, less energetic and unhappy. And I wouldn't have been forced, through the circumstances that made me uncomfortable to a life that I picked up now, where I get to do this work with Campbell and I get to share this information with you, all because my parents were the kind of parents that didn't have anything other than some, let's say, hard lessons, a lot of love to pass along to me as as their son. That's my little story.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I went. I mean, people have probably heard this before, but my in my life, I went to 7 schools and lived in 11 houses before I was 16.
Mm.
So, and growing up, it's not fun. You just sort of make friends, and then you get drifted away, and you got to do it all again. And so, I could have looked at that as, oh my God, poor little me. Look at my horrible parents. Don't want me to have friends. But I missed all the programming. Like if I went to a school for 12, I might have got programmed, right? Plus,
Mm.
I also know how to talk and relate to basically, all these different types of people because I always had to, make new friends. I had to get on people's level. I had to learn how to communicate properly with all these different sort of types of people. So that's the thing. Like we have childhood, but most of our lives, hopefully, are lived as adults, right? So all this stuff from childhood is learning, and when you're an adult, it's how can you use it? So many people look back at like poor little me, but I could have been more if only my parents did this, if only the school taught me better, if only, if only. Well, the if onlys are you. They're just your interpretation. So go back and have a, what did you learn? How did it make you better? Because I can tell you now, I'm glad I didn't spend 12 years in one school, because I mean, with my personality, I probably would have been, kicked out. But that's the thing, that's where the programming lies. So now with a bit of perspective, I can see, I dodged a bullet as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, I've been looking at a lot of the comments that have come through, and some are nice, some are offhanded, some are tongue in cheek, so to speak. Now, I'm at least guessing that they are. And maybe ask yourself why you're here, like why you're watching these videos, what it is you're looking to get for yourself. We do have a course. I do some one-on-one. There's a whole bunch of other options out there, videos. Campbell and I have made hundreds of them related to this. And as much as a lot of people have cheeky answers, perhaps if you're looking to grow up in your life and in one way or another you're not happy, take a moment, sit down with yourself. Write 3 things down that you like about yourself and 3 things down that you don't like. 3 things that your parents passed along to you related to that, and 3 things that maybe they gave you the negative of. Like they weren't free because they did too much work, so maybe you were inspired to do less in a job that you didn't like, as an example. Or my mother was a little loosey goosey with the energy, spending money, and she was never really secure in her environment, which was the bad side of it. I'm giving an example. But on the other side, she taught me to be free. She was always looking for bigger dreams. She always wanted to travel. She didn't really care about the money, which was a problem at the time. But, she basically said, F it, doesn't really matter. I need to feel free in my life. It doesn't matter the consequences. There was a lot of negatives at the time, especially if you ask my father, and the budgeting. But if you look at it now, what got passed along to me is my huge desire for adventure, for freedom, to keep looking, to never be satisfied, and to never let anybody tell me how to live my life, regardless of whether I have, friends or relatives or anybody telling me anything, because, she didn't care. And so I don't care. And that can be good and bad, but that is an example of what we're sharing today, or what I'm trying to share today about my missing bits, is I got to see what I picked up and didn't pick up from my parents, so that I can make more or less for myself as I choose to do so. Nobody else.
Mm. And that's it. Ultimately, is we choose. We choose, and
Mm.
we can tell ourselves, for our whole lives, oh no, it's the system that chose for me. No, it's my education that chose my life. It's the fact that I had no opportunities because I was born here and there. But that's all crap. It's not. It's how you interpret it. And the thing about all these things, like I said, we learn and take on all these lessons when we're young. Have we ever
Mm.
thought that maybe we misinterpreted some of these things? Like what? As a 6-year-old child, we're supposed to understand the whole world and how other people's minds work and what they're thinking and why they're angry at us or whatever. We don't. We just you feel this, if it's your parents yelling at you for being naughty, that's all we get, right? We don't understand that that comes from frustration, that comes from their parents, that comes from blocks and masks that they're wearing,
Right.
so we sort of get caught up in all this thing like the whole world's directed at us, but it's not. It's all to do with how we act or react to these things, how we interpret life, and how we see it, and then we get that choice. Is you can just stay in this realm of acting, right? That person said something bad against me, rah, right? Or you can stop and think, well, what's the result of that? Am I just going to keep yelling for the next 50 years, or maybe should I go inside and maybe work on not being so offended? Because if you're offended, it's all to do with you. It's got nothing to do with the person who said the thing. Because the truth is, there could be three people. Someone will walk up and say one thing, one person gets offended, two don't. So clearly, it's got nothing to do with the words. It's got to do with the receiver and how you're interpreting it. So and that again is interpreting it through the mask, which we come back to, because you're not you're not being truly real with yourself and seeing things for what they truly are.
Hey, Victoria, good job selling everything and traveling with your son. That's amazing. You really need to get into
Oh, what
and
was that?
make those experiences while you feel like doing them, because you only have that one chance. And when I was 13, my mother did a lot of similar things. She kind of sold everything, or sold the budget money to take us on trips. And for me, some of the best feelings I have now are those moments of freedom, beyond being stuck in the kind of life that I had. And perhaps as an experience here for some of you that have parents or haven't had parents. I saw a few comments. I never had parents. I mean, I guess everyone's had people they grew up with if they didn't have any specific parental units, so to speak. And you can use them as an example to see why, let's say, because we're all about taking full responsibility, and it's all your fault, why you chose the kind of life you had growing up, and how that reflects on you now. And if you don't like it, what are you going to do about it? If you do like it, maybe make more of it.
Mm. And that's really the whole crux of it, right? You can yell and scream and complain your whole life, but is that going to change anything? No, not for the better. That's for sure. I can guarantee things will get worse, because that's called spiraling down, right? That's proving to yourself that life is crap, right? It's like, life is crap. Everyone sucks. So you go walking down the street and you're like, got this mean look on your, and someone looks at you and they're like, and you're like, see, they gave me a dirty look. I'm so right. The world sucks. And that's what you build on. It's not true, because you've caused that reaction. But you can do the other thing too. You can walk down and go, why is the world good? And look for the good things, because we have this thing in our mind called our reticular activator system. And this is the thing that points out what we want to see. So when we want to buy a new car, you drive on the street and suddenly that car's everywhere. Does that mean that those cars weren't there the day before? Of course not. It just means your brain is now pointing them out to you, because that's what you're focused on. Exactly the same when you're walking down the street. If you want to see bad people and you think the world sucks, your Raz will point out to you all the crap to make you right. But if you think it's good, it'll do the same thing. So our mind is actually always trying to prove us right, but we get to choose what we want to prove to us. Is the world good? Is the world bad? Is it hard? Is it all against me? Is it all everyone else's fault? These are all these questions that we think are real, but they're just a perspective, because clearly other people around us are getting different results, right?
Yeah.
So
You know,
we just need
three
to take a
people
bit of
can
responsibility. Yeah.
three people can hear the same conversation and come back 5 minutes later hearing different things and swear on the stack of Bibles in their mother's life and their granny's underwear that they heard it one way and another person heard it the other way. And who's right? I mean, maybe everyone's right. Our reality is really something a lot of people
Well,
don't get, in that everything is reflected back inside. Even the light we see and the sound we see is all a reflection of what's going on inside of us. None of it's really on the outside of us. So if you're the receiver, which you are, you decide how you receive or perceive, and then that's by the very nature of being a being of God, let's say. And I'm not trying to get woo or new age here. It's just that you have the potential to change your receiver or to change your perceiver as you see fit, because it's yours. It's your brain, it's your insides, it's your system, it's your desires, it's your feelings, it's your emotions. Everything is you. That's what we meant when we're saying it's your fault.
Mm.
We can go much, much deeper in this. And Campbell and I, a little plug here, we're going to be starting a Patreon page, New Tartarian Times, very soon. Oh, maybe I'm letting the chicken out of the bag or the cat out of my pants or something of that nature. Pardon the rudeness, but what we're getting at here is that we're going to be able to, through your support and our efforts, go as deep as you wish to in your creative potential for making the kind of life you would always like to live in, beyond any limitations, if you're willing to do the work and put in the hard challenges, effort, etc., to get there. What do you think, Campbell?
Yeah. Someone mentioned Dr. Wayne Dwyer in the comments, and he has a saying, you know, if you can't change yourself, if it's the world's fault, you've got to go out and change 8 billion people,
Mm.
right? If it's your fault, you just got to go to the mirror, change yourself. So literally, if it's the world's fault, you're stuck. You can't change anything, right? Because by the time you try and talk to 8 billion people, you're going to be dead, right? Clearly, you can't do that. But if it's you, and you can clearly change yourself. And this is what it all comes back to. It's the whole, when you point the finger, three are pointing back at you kind of thing, is, we have to take responsibility. The world is like the world is. It is. And you can sit there and argue until your head pops off. You can sit on cushions in the lotus position and say, everything is fine, everything is great. Oh, the energy, can't you feel it? I'm burning sage. But reality is still reality, and we are still here in a physical world, experiencing a physical reality. And yes, at its base, everything's energy, but this is the experience. So I think we just need to get a bit real, right? And just go, well, this is it. This is who I am. This is what I've got. How do I use that to go further, to get to where I want to go? Because it's really time to take the backpack off, right? We walk around with these backpacks full of all this crap that slow us down. And it's like, oh, but dad said I can't do this. Oh, but
Mm.
that person said I wasn't good enough. Oh, but my teacher said I was stupid. Just let it go. Who are these people? Think about, who are these, especially teachers, right? Oh, my teacher was, who was your teacher? What was their life? Were they happy? Most teachers are not. And this is the thing. If you don't want to be like someone, why would you listen to anything they say? Right? And we see this so much on the internet, right? If you want to make money, just do what I did. But most of the time, these people are not people you want to be like. So, look, why do we listen so much and let people that we don't like control our lives and who we become?
Yeah.
And
And
this
I
is,
saw,
we don't think about these things a lot because, work, right? The system, work, right? Circles, just keep going, don't think. Don't. But now we do have space to think. So it's time to
yeah,
get
and,
real.
and we're not branching out to motivational self-help as I saw a comment. All of these all of these silly like labels and things like, first off, I'm going to do a video coming out soon beyond the self, and we're not trying to motivate anything. We're really basically saying, if you want to live a certain kind of life, there are energetic truths because you're making the energetic patterns and it's coming back to you and creating the life you're living. So it's more of a practical way to look at things than anything else, right? And if, like I say, being
Mm,
authentic or being loving and seeing the man or woman in the mirror, it's all great. But you really, if you're happy with life and everything's perfect, that's great. Congratulations, enjoy. Maybe we can have a chat one day. But if there's something you want to change, which most of us are in that spot anyways, generally you have to, change begins at home, because in my opinion, that's where it comes from.
mm, indeed. And someone wrote, just have rich parents. And um, this is the thing, right? If only I had money, if only I had rich parents. I mean, I can tell you, I wasn't, rich, but we were definitely, upper middle class. I was always pretty much, everyone thought I was the rich kid at school. Until I got to parents, then I was a poor kid because I went to all these expensive, private schools. Um, but the result of that is, how do you think people get rich? Not many people get trust fund babies, and if they are, well, their parents are probably away with the pixies, right? The reality is, if your parents have money, they're working their asses off. So you don't get to see your parents very much. I basically raised myself. Okay, so the grass is not necessarily greener on the other side of the fence. I would have loved parents that were home all the time, that I could go and do things with, but that wasn't my reality. But I'm also not going to sit here and complain and say, poor little me, because I know that they were doing the best that they knew how to do. That's how they were raised. They thought, they both came from, poor families. And so that what they were taught is get in there, make money. That's how you give the best life to your children. And that's what they did. So I can sit here and I can cry and go, oh, daddy loved his job more than me and mummy never had time. But it's bullshit. It's complete bullshit because they were doing the best that they could. And I've now raised kids and I understand that it's not perfect. You do the best you can do, and that's it. And so we take on all this stuff like, but mummy and daddy hated me. But what was their motivation? Because most of the time they were trying to do the right thing. And so I kind of went sideways there. But yeah, this whole if only the grass is greener on the better on the other side of the fence, it's complete bunk.
And how many people here, a lot of comments, like how many people here commenting are looking at themselves, right? Finding what's not nice so they can fix it. Like I know, I'll talk about myself. I'm lazy, given the right chance. If I have enough money, if I have enough food, if I don't have any challenges, I might just sit back and do nothing, read a book, watch the flowers grow, even meditate in the park, whatever. And I'm not getting a lot done. So having rich parents for me, knowing myself would have been horrible, right? I wouldn't have moved. I would have found reasons to stay where the money was. I would have found reasons to stay, where let's say there was a free house or an easy job or a trust fund or whatever. I'd be lazy, fat, stupid, and maybe dead by now simply because I wouldn't have been forced to get off my ass and find alternative methods of life, alternative methods of finances, currency, alternative friends, etc. So, the hard path is the easy path in the end. It's an old saying, and the easy path, and the easy path is the hard path. And for me, that's how it's played out. I've seen rich people that have been handed things forever. And I think, they become wretched. Not everyone. I can't talk. I've never met everyone. For anyone says, oh my goodness, I have a rich friend who's a nice person. Great. But, really what it comes down to, I think, is if we're given too much, we can get fat, lazy, and stupid much easier than if you're challenged to get off your bum and do something new about it.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm just sort of reading a couple of the comments. Look, money doesn't make people good or bad. Like Lorenzo said, there are people, and most of them, you see them, these trust fund kids, by the time they're 30, they're just complete wrecks. They're drug addicts. Look at Lisa Marie Presley, who just passed at 54. Her whole life was a complete train wreck, and she was not happy. And, and it's not, that is a repeating story. And she was worth hundreds of millions of dollars, but she never had to do anything. And it destroyed her life. So does money make your life better? No. Does not having money make you a bad person? Because someone said, oh, not having money, oh, there's lots of all this kind of stuff goes on in families. Well, I'm sure it does, but not in all of them. And if you want to talk about, that kind of stuff going on, we know who the main players in there are, and they are the rich people. So again, it's not to do with money. And as far as money's the system. Money is the system. It's the control mechanism. It's what you get for indentured servitude, which they want to tell you is called a job. Okay, so this whole money makes me better or worse. You're talking about the system. So you kind of miss the point. It's not. It's got to do with nothing outside of you, because you can't really change anything outside of you. It's got to do with you. And no matter what you want, no matter where you want to be, the truth is, you are where you are, and that's where you got to start from. And you can cry and complain, but it's not going to change anything.
Yeah. So is it sad that the many bad things happened to Lisa Marie Presley or her children or her son or her family? It's not sad or bad or good or glad. We don't really know their lives. We don't even know if any of these stories are true, to be honest. We've heard something on the news. We've heard about people that have had a life. They're actors. A lot of people forget these people are all actors, brought up as actors. Who knows what you've seen or what you haven't seen? And it's also why I look to take it back to myself, because all I know is myself. Right? All I can know is my energy. And as Campbell said, money, one eye. So I'm not saying it's bad. I love having lots of money. I love having lots of currency, but it's an artificial construct. And if that's what you focus on, that's what you get. On the other hand, if your energy's in a good place, you'll probably have lots of money and everything you need. And that's the hard thing. And also, it can never be taken from you. Work on yourself, work on your energy, make that
Mm.
strong. No one can raise the taxes on you, right?
Yes.
No one can change the rules on you.
Yes.
No one can come in one day and say, we're going to take your power away now that, there's a different person in office, or now that we're at war with your neighbor in the Republic of Bhutan. Sorry, we have to charge you 3 times for heating your heart. It's never going to happen, right? Yours is yours, and that's as far as it goes. And that's why you can become very powerful by figuring out your missing bits, putting them together, and deciding for yourself where you're bad or where you have holes so you can fix them, or where you're leaking your energy.
Mm. It's value
Mm.
that we need to produce, and you get value for value. And so focusing on money, you're focusing on the system. You're focusing on, how do I change my ideas and time and labor into bits of paper, which then the government are going to play with. Look what's going on at the moment with currency, inflation. They're like, the people are doing a bit well. Let's make eggs $12 a dozen. Then what? What's your money? How good's your money now? Like, this is the thing, right? People work their whole lives for money, 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 and the government just go, let's push this button, and suddenly your money's worth half of what it was last year. All right, you're getting up to retirement, and they just keep taking more and more and more. Okay, so chasing money, I mean, it's your decision. Go for it if you want to, but I would say have a look at what's really going on. And do you want to go back to 2019? Because 2019 is where the money, that's the money culture. Like, I'm going, and this is really the reason that we're talking about this, is we're going somewhere different, right? Which is back, the new Tartaria, right? This new place that we all talk about. And we're about, in the past, they had free energy, they had no war, they had all this stuff. Well, that's what we want to recreate. And we understand that by focusing on what is and what is around us and what the system wants us to believe and how it wants us to live our lives, all that can do is keep us right where we are. If we want to go somewhere else and go somewhere different, we need to think a different thought and then take a different action.
I would say we need to intend different and then get to our minds, right? In some ways, the mindful could be seen as a trap, in that if you want to be in a
Did I
place
say
with,
that word?
you did. If you want to be in a place with free
I'm not
energy,
allowed to say the word mind.
yeah, if you want to be in a place of free energy, you have to be generating free energy for yourself. If you want to be in a place without wars, you have to be in a place where
Yes.
you're not at war with yourself. Even if it seems like you're a nice person on the outside, maybe you're fighting with something on the inside. This new Tartaria that Campbell mentioned, this new place we want to get to, it's beyond the mind, in my opinion. Right? The mind is where the monsters live. The mind is where the rules are. The mind is where the taxes are. And as an example, let's say, living in Japan, where they decided all the food and everything was going to be twice the price. I said, no, it's not for me. I'm not going to take their rules. And then, 2 weeks later, I found a farmer around the corner, someone who's bringing in fresh vegetables from a small village, selling organic stuff in a tiny stand for half price, which you can find in a store, just because it's kind of a hobby. Best broccoli, carrots, whatever I ever found, half price. Why? Because in my reality, when they said things are going twice as high, I said, nah, they're going to be half the price for me. And then they were. A small example as to how your reality is really up to you, regardless of what gets passed along as a new rule, a new tax, a new law, from anybody, even from yourself. Even if you're telling yourself something's not possible, you get to figure out why you're telling yourself that's not possible. Like Campbell said, and don't change everyone. It's not possible because 7,000 people told me it's not possible. So now they all have to change it for me. You'll be dead before that happens. But if you just decide it's up to you, there you go.
Mm. That you got power. You got power.
You
So
got
this is
power.
the thing, we can't go into this new world dragging the old world behind us.
Mm.
We can't take all of our internal war and our internal poor little me and our internal if only, into a world where that is all about self responsibility. Okay. And yeah, sure. This is the thing, eggs, $12 a kilo. You can buy a chicken for $12. So some people are like, it's so expensive. I've got all these eggs. Some people have gone and bought chickens, and guess what? All their eggs are free. And then some people say, but my council won't let me have chickens.
Yeah.
Well, make them, get enough people together, those councillors work for you, or move.
Or
Make a
move.
decision and take the power back. You can sit there and go, but, poor little me. Well, you know, it's your choice to stay there and to stay in poor little me. We always have a decision. And the thing is, our mind kind of likes to be comfortable. It doesn't,
Mm,
we're sort of trained to not like new experiences.
mm,
And so that sort of makes us think that change is scary. But to me, I've never understood that. I've never understood that concept, because to me, what is scary is staying in a life you don't want for the rest of your life. That's scary. And then being on your deathbed and going, if only.
yeah,
That
that's true.
that's the worst thing that could ever happen as far as I'm concerned. You've just wasted your life.
And Campbell and I and people that are wanting to make this new world or creating it, nobody's being mean. We're not saying, well, you can't come unless you're a nice person, and we can't come unless you clean your shoes, and you can't come if you're mean to Billy, or if you don't love yourself. It's really not about a choice that we make. It's a vibrational movement of your power and energy. So it's impossible to move unless you move. Campbell said it 100 times: for things to change, things have to change, right? And I'll take it a little deeper in saying, for things to change, you have to change. And by changing yourself, then you become a higher vibrational being that can move, perhaps along with us, to the new tertiary, or whatever you want to call it, because basically it's just a way to change your life for the better in ways that we all would like to live: happy, healthy, loving, free,
Mm,
abundant, etc.
yeah, yeah. That's the way. And I'm just looking at the comments and I'm seeing a few, but that are sort of, but they're saying, but now they're going to do this, but now they're going to do that,
Yeah.
but now what about this? But. Well, big butts, right?
Big
Big
butts.
butts don't help. The thing is, if you're saying now they're gonna, make my money worth less. Now they're gonna, take water away from me. Water? I'm gonna tell you something, guys. This place is 70% water. And another thing, right? Even if you can't find fresh water, you add heat to salt water and you get fresh water. I mean, these are all. This is literally saying I'm a prisoner. Someone owns me. They make the rules. I'm just going to sit here and I can't change anything because, big bad dude. Now, this is all about creating a new world. So if you're into creating a new world, then you just have to change. Okay, prove me wrong. I mean, I've never seen anyone who hasn't changed themselves change their circumstances. It's like that saying, right? If you keep doing the same thing expecting a different result, that's the
Mm,
definition of insanity. We need to do something different. So just think, like, who controls you? And this is what it's all about. If you're worried that the government are going to take away your water, your eggs, your air, your whatever, you're controlled. You're a slave. You are living under their rules. And then people are going out and they are spruiking this. They're like become little paid messengers for the government. They run around going,
mm,
the government going to do this, the government going to do that.
yeah.
It's so bad. It's so bad. How do we stop them? How do we? I'll tell you what. There's another. I do like my sayings and idioms. Um, if you want to build a new world, you don't have to focus on destroying the old one. You
No.
just go and build a new world. People will see what works, and the old system will fall apart as everyone leaves it. This focusing on the problem, what we focus on grows. So focus on what you want. This is really what it comes down to, is our thinking. Like, we spend so much time thinking of the problems and why we can't do things. But what would happen if you thought about why you could do things? It's just a different
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah, one step at a time. If you don't have an answer, find how to fix something small and then wait for the next one. If it seems too overwhelming, look at the small problem. Maybe you need to eat less. Maybe you need to drink less, smoke less. Maybe you need to work less. Maybe you need to do something you love more on the other side or less on this side. Maybe you need to move. One small thing will lead to a bigger thing. If you need to exercise, go 10 more minutes. If you need to lose some weight, eat one less chocolate bar. I'm just throwing some easy ideas out there. If you need to figure out what's going on, Campbell and I have 100 ways that we've set up that we put out to be of service. If you can find or can't find, send me an email. Send Campbell an email. We're happy to help. We could use some help. As an example, let's say, I wanted to do some music. I put it out there in this last chat. Somebody wrote us, and I want to thank Campbell for that. And I didn't know she did music. Campbell put her video up, and this is a big thank you out there, Campbell, to you from Felice, who I talked with yesterday. And then suddenly she's going, I do music. I don't write lyrics. And I said, isn't that amazing? I write lyrics. I don't do music. And now we're working together, and maybe you guys will get to hear some of the results soon, to put this album out that I always wanted to do. I didn't know how I can do. I just said, all right. And how did it come to me? I have no idea. I didn't ask her. I didn't ask Campbell to put up her music. In fact, I've been talking to two Felicities. I thought she was a different lady. There's a Felicity and a Felice. I was even confused yesterday.
Oh, it is two, is it? Okay.
It's two, yeah. I was even confused yesterday when I wrote her. I go, wait a minute. She came up on my Zoom. I go, you're not the lady I talked to last week. I go, well, here we are. Let's have a chat anyways and see where we are. And we both looked at each other awkwardly for a moment. And now suddenly we're going to work together and make beautiful music. Quite literally, make beautiful music together. How did that happen? Neither of us have any clue other than she decided to come to us. Campbell decided to share music because his heart said so. She wanted to help because her heart said so. I wanted to chat because my heart said so. The rest kind of came from who knows where. But we decided to put our best foot and our best efforts forward, and here they are. So if you want to join us, you want to come see this, there's classes, there's workshops, there's free videos galore, there's free books, etc. No excuse, really. The time is now, and we're happy to help you along as you can help us, as we can help you. And that's all really anybody needs to hear, in my opinion.
That's it, yeah. And of course, the name Felicity means, what is it? Little bits of unexpected joy, I think, is what felicity means. So I think you got some felicity. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so there you go. And someone asked how to avoid the demons. Well, don't focus on them for starters, right? Do they even exist? Do we create them? But how about this? How about you just taste bad? We've all heard the stories, Loosh, these demons feeding on us. What do they feed on? Low vibrational energy. How do you taste bad from them? Think happy thoughts. Be happy.
Stay out of your mind.
Be a doer. Be creating something better. That's not what they want.
Mind. Yeah. Stay out of your mind.
Do it. Be a doer. Yeah. Lorenzo is very big on staying out of the mind. And it's a good point is, a lot of people tend to live their lives in their mind, and they want to do something, and they've suddenly lived 10 years into the future, and they've told them all the stuff that'll go right and wrong and blah. None of it exists.
Nope.
None of it. Okay. And this is the thing, we have all these thoughts and we go, oh, this. And then when we live through it, it's nothing like what we imagined. And then we go and do it again. We then go and reimagine and try and talk ourselves out of things. But we don't know. So it's all in the experience. That's why we're here. Again, we're in a physical body to have a physical experience while we're here. So thinking is good. But yeah, this is, the thing is, if you don't want to live your life in your mind, live it in the world, right? Think in your mind and then go and do stuff.
If you consider it, the mind is always the past. Whatever you can think of has already happened. I mean, even if you want to use a logical way of looking at this. So if you can sit here, anything you can think of is something, you can imagine new things. When you're thinking thoughts, it's only your past. And if you're not happy with your life, you have to change your future, and you can't do it by repeating your past. As Campbell said, you do the same thing over and over, you get the same results. That's the crazy of being insane. You want to do something new, it has to come from somewhere. And in my opinion, that doesn't come from your thoughts. It can end up there eventually, but it has to come from somewhere else. Your intuition, your inspiration, God, if you like, Jesus, Buddha, the world, spirit, whatever, comes from outside of your mindset, as I see there. Like set, think about it, mindset, like concrete, set. Sounds horrible. I'd rather be free.
Yeah,
what was beyond that?
Yeah, change. And what was the other one that I was thinking of?
Emotions, the
Oh,
modes around
mindful.
people. Mindful. Yeah,
Mindful.
mindful. Yeah.
Mindful is, it's like I'll be mindful. Think, but that means your mind's full.
Yeah.
Maybe it should be mind empty. Um, but yeah, basically, it's all about who you become because there's a guy called Jim Rohn. He's no longer with us. He back in the 50s, wanted to be a millionaire, and so he learned the skills, right, and became a millionaire. And then he got all cocky and egoy, and he went spent all. I think he bought 10 Corvettes or something. Lost all his money. He was broke. Didn't have anything. He was a millionaire again in 5 years because it's not the stuff. It's not the money. He was the value of himself in his mind's eye was a millionaire. So of course he had to attract it back. So and we see these people become millionaires and then they lose everything. It's because and winning the lottery, right? You see it all the time. You win $10 million, they're broke in 5 years. It's because they're not the person. They haven't made the changes. So all this it's who we become first, then we live into. So I'm not sure really what my point was there. I kind of lost it, but yeah. If you want to change, if you want things to change, things have to change, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Don't distract yourself.
Become the
Figure it
person you
out.
want to be.
If you don't know how to do it, and I'm not saying any of this is easy by any stretch of the imagination. It's hard, hard, hard work, almost impossible work. But I would say, as Campbell said, the only thing worse or a harder thing than following your dreams is maybe to find out on your deathbed you haven't followed your dreams. And then you're going, oh my goodness. And then it's too late. And who knows what comes after that. No one wants to die with regrets, I would say. So if you're not doing it or you can't do it or you want to do it, it seems to me, from what I've seen and from what a
Do
lot
it
of the
anyway.
people that yeah, do it anyway. That's there you go. Do it anyway. See what
Just
happens.
do it anyway. Do
Yeah,
it
you're
anyway.
gonna die anyways. You've got nothing to
And
lose.
we've been live bombed. We have someone sitting backstage who sounds like they want to come in and say something. So should we let them in?
We've been what
Let's see
live
what he's got to
bombed.
say.
Who have we been live bombed?
Yes, Bernie's sitting in the back office. Oh, there
We've
he
been live
is.
bombed.
Oh,
Yeah,
hello.
What have you got to
I've
say,
been.
I just
Bernie?
wanted to pop in and say hi to Lorenzo as we've been
Yeah,
emailing back and forth and been a little busy, but we got to get on a show together very soon. So,
and then here
uh,
we are, kind of on a show together. Bernie and I have been talking about
We've,
talking
ne-
for a couple of
we've
months
never
now.
spoken.
Yeah, we've never
here it
spoken.
is.
We're both Canadians. I didn't know Bernie was from
Oh, there you
Alberta.
go.
I'm from Toronto. I lived close to him for a long time. So, hey, Bernie, nice to
Yes,
see
of
you.
course.
And it proves the
Fellow
fact.
Canadian, but
Indeed.
you're in Japan now, correct?
I am in Japan now. Yeah,
That's
I've been here.
awesome.
Yeah. So if you want to make a move, I mean, I can talk about my experience in getting to Japan at some other point, how I'm living here. It just goes to show you anything's possible if you so choose to make it real. And then, I want to take things back to Canada one day, helping them become free as possible as best they can. So, Bernie, let's have a chat one day on all of these.
Absolutely.
There you
That sounds
go.
like the perfect
More
topics for the
connections being
discussion.
made.
So, I will email you here
Done.
soon, brother. In the next
So,
couple days, we will set it up. Much love, everyone, and I will hop out and let you guys finish your stream.
and first, oi.
Oh,
Do you
Thanks for
have a
coming.
piece of wisdom for our audience?
piece of wisdom. We project our realities, so don't get caught in a down spiral. Spiral up, and you can find more of it with these lovely gentlemen and the work they do.
Awesome.
Thanks, Bernie. Nice to see your smile. I appreciate
Thank
you
you
joining
very
us, man.
much.
Thank you. We'll see you guys soon.
Cheers, mate. Have a good one. All
Well, there you
right,
go.
there we go. Bond. And as you saw, right, two people that didn't know each other from the same country, but in different countries, they would never have run into each other ever unless someone decided to make a video. Okay, I'm in Australia, Bernie's in Canada, Lorenzo's in Japan, and we're all connected somehow. And as you just heard, they're going to be talking business soon to help create this new world that we're all asking for, that we all want. So this is how it happens, guys. It's intention.
That's how it happens.
Get out there with a good intention, and then, of course, get out of your mind and into your shoes.
Yeah,
Start
we can help
doing
you.
something.
We can help you. Come, Freedom's calling you. Check out our course. I do live in Love Unlimited work, one-on-one, anybody that wants to. Campbell and I have monthly sessions as well together. If you join our course, we have our live virtual Zooms. You can join us here every Friday, as long as we decide to do them every Friday. I'm not going to lock us into anything, moving forward, but Campbell and I are enjoying ourselves. You can be here as well. And if anybody has any other suggestions, questions, participations, recommendations, info@newagora.ca. You can reach us both. Newagora.ca. You can see everything we've done. Campbell is obviously at Autodidactic. I'm at the New Now. So much going on. Really, you can't fail but to succeed if you really want to, because there's nothing but opportunity out there.
I agree. The time is now. So you'll find all the links below, guys. Check them out. And yeah, if you want to make a change, I implore you that you do. That's just a decision away. So thank you for joining us. 196 of you.
Wow.
Almost cracked the 200. We'll go for that next week. And yeah, we just have a great week, and we will be back live.
Same time, same
Friday.
Channel, same place. We'll see you then. Invite your friends.
Alrighty. Thanks, guys. See you soon. Have a great day. Bye for now.
Stepping it up, taking a chance, risking it all, we're going crazy. Stepping it up, taking a chance, risking it all, taking a higher.